Unlike Bill Belichick's girlfriend, we're not banned from talking about the college football team we're most interested in.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson, that's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire Stick TV 4K. You heard me. And we're going to be talking about that very soon here on this particular podcast, as I just switched over to my main mic, so it might have gotten weird. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thank to everybody for making us your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Jimmy, first of all, welcome back. I mean, no, this is like a lot of people are listening to this audioly. You can't just nod.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you.
Okay. So
Funny thing, I had to tell witnesses that for like decades in court with depositions or court. You can't just nod. The court reporter's taking this down. Now I violate it myself constantly.
What are you, from the Colorado School of Mimes? Okay. So bold predictions from Bama Online for quarterbacks. I thought that'd be something interesting you and I could discuss. Charlie Potter said Alabama will double its passing touchdowns from 2024. And when I thought, I was like, man, that is bold. And I didn't know this. Did you know? Do you know how many touchdowns we threw last year?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I guess it was around 18.
17 total.
Okay.
Total from all quarterbacks or anybody throwing a halfback pass or anything.
Right.
That's insanity. For when you have Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard on your team, mm-hmm. and you only throw 17 touchdown passes, and you play as many games as we play, that's a stat where in the middle of all of my Jalen Milroe defenses, and there have been many, I would have gone, oh, wait a minute, I better start listening to what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I think we were listening to what the critics are saying and agreed with a lot of it. And I agree that number is sort of low. A couple of things, not a defense of Milroe, just the numbers. Alabama was a pretty good team in the red zone. I mean, last year, the red zone numbers on offense were pretty good. And I don't think you can look at Milroe's numbers without taking into account the rushing scores. And I think he set like an SEC rushing record for quarterbacks last year in terms of rushing touchdowns. And obviously that offsets that number, but it is low. And I think that's why Charlie, keep in mind these bold predictions, because I took part in these at one point at BOL. The emphasis is on bold so much as it is prediction. It's not like a prediction of, hey, I will wager this is going to happen. It needs to be bold or it shouldn't be in the article. So it's not necessarily, hey, this is what I will wager will happen. It's what I think might happen. It's what might happen that's pretty headline making. But I do think, like you said, based on the fact the passing touchdown number last year was only 17, doubling it is not crazy, because you're taking a lot of those rushing touchdowns from the quarterback position off the board and adding them as passing touchdowns. And then look at the numbers that Grubb put up while he was offensive coordinator for Washington under DeBoer. And I think that number that Charlie's putting up there is bold, but it's not crazy. There's a difference between bold and crazy.
I mean, just for reference sake, and again, I'm not sure that this is a bold prediction by Charlie now. I mean, for reference, Jalen Milroe threw for 23 touchdowns the year before. Yeah. Now, he also played in at least one extra game, I guess, because the SEC championship game, and then the bowl game would essentially be the playoff game. So those sort of whitewash, but or wash each other out, not whitewash. Blake Sims in 14 threw for 28 touchdowns. It should be noted he did have Lane Kiffin as his offensive coordinator, but AJ McCarron,
wide receiver.
A.J. McCarron threw for 28 and 30. Bryce Young threw for 32 in 2022. And in 21, he threw for 47. Bryce Young threw for 47 touchdowns. He threw for essentially 3 times as many touchdowns in one season as Jalen Milroe did. He had one extra game. I guess he had 2 extra games because he had the SEC title game and then one more in the playoffs because he went to the national championship. But holy bananas. I'll tell you what, Bryce Young didn't have. Now, Bryce Young had Jamison Williams and John Mechie. He had 2 superstars. But he didn't have Ryan Williams. I still think Ryan Williams is going to be better than those 2. And I love those 2.
Yeah. Well, another take from Charlie's prediction that got me excited. Now, Charlie makes it clear in his bold prediction on BOL that he's not saying Ty Simpson's going to throw for all these touchdowns. He's saying the quarterback room. And I tell you, he didn't want to put Ty's name on it. He said, well, the quarterback room, because I guess he doesn't want to absolutely rule out at this juncture that Keelan Russell doesn't quarterback some or a lot of the season. But I still interpret it. I mean, I think we all know Ty is most likely to be the quarterback, not just to start the year, but for most of the year. And to me, that prediction put a lot of emphasis on Charlie believes that Ty's going to be good and productive. And, as one of the more esteemed beat writers around the program, Charlie knows the situation close to the program well.
That said, I guess you do have to throw in Jalen Milroe's 20 rushing touchdowns, by the way, which ranks 4th all-time single season.
Yeah.
Sean Alexander's high, just for reference, was 19. So
that's why that number didn't alarm me so much in terms of like, gosh, no wonder the offense stunk. It didn't stink. The red zone offense was pretty good because instead of throwing it in the end zone, he was running it in the end zone. And that's why the overall red zone number and touchdown production really wasn't that bad. As I pointed out on the show just the other day, the 2024 offense averaged 34 points a game. So did the 2023 offense. The point production did not slip. Some of Jalen's throwing numbers weren't quite as good, like the touchdown passes went from, like you said, 23 to 17. But overall points scored stayed the same. And that's because Jalen actually ran the ball better and more often in 2024.
Tim Watts, really not much to say here. This isn't even really much of a bold prediction. He said, get ready for legitimate fireworks. I mean, that's a little too vague for me to be a bold prediction, but I understand what he's saying, and I agree with him.
Yeah, I think like we just said, they averaged 34 points in 23, 34 points in 24. I take Tim's bold prediction. I mean, that number's going up, and I agree that it's going up. I don't think it's going to go up enormously. I don't think Alabama's going to start averaging 48 points a game like it's Bryson 2 all over again or something like that. But I think it's going to be over 34, maybe closer to a 38 number.
And then Andrew Bones was Ty Simpson will surge as a top Heisman contender into November. Now, that's a bold prediction.
That's bold because almost no one out there saying it. And I am not going to make that. That's bold. That's more bold than prediction. But I'm not going to disagree for a couple of reasons. And here's the first one. If you're an Alabama fan out there that believes that this team is a playoff worthy or playoff capable team, in 2025, every Heisman discussion has to start with this. Who are the quarterbacks of the playoff teams?
Yes.
That's where it starts. And if you think Alabama's a playoff team, then you probably need to include Ty Simpson and Heisman.
Well, not only that, if number one, Alabama's schedule, if you're going to say Ty Simpson, he went to Tallahassee and won when, Florida State is trying to have their resurgence. The new stadium's opening up. It's the first road game for Ty Simpson to start, blah, blah, blah. Well, because he didn't start the South Florida game, right? That was
Buckner.
Buckner, yeah. So then he's going to have to win against Wisconsin, a Big Ten team. I mean, no, it's not the best Big Ten team, but still, he's going to have to go to Georgia and at least put up if he has a bad game at Georgia, the Heisman's over. So, I mean, he's going to have a good game there. He's going to have a good showing against LSU and Oklahoma and at Auburn, at Tennessee at home. He's going to have some golden opportunities because at Missouri, this schedule lends itself to that, at South Carolina. And so you're right. First of all, since probably A.J. McCarron, and whoever's the quarterback at Alabama already has a couple of ticks up on most people by being just a quarterback at Alabama because we're already in the discussion for everything else.
Right.
But it's had a bit of a drop-off. And now Ty's going to have to recapture that, but he's got a golden opportunity. Now, the final prediction, and that came from Blake Byler, and he says Alabama starting quarterback will throw for at least 3,500 yards for the first time since 2021. I totally agree. I also say this, that Bryce Young would have done it if it weren't for some injuries.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, since 2021 is a little misleading because Bryce Young would have done it in 2022. He did it in 21. He would have done it in 2022 too.
Hold on. You know what's funny? What kind of ties all this stuff together is if they're all right, then they're all right. And by that meaning, if Blake Byler's right and Ty throws for over 3,500 yards and Charlie Potter's right that Ty throws for twice as many touchdowns as Jalen Milroe did last year, then Tim is certainly right about the fireworks. And both right, because if Ty throws for over 3,500 yards and 35 touchdowns and Alabama's in the playoff, then Ty is in the Heisman discussion. So if they're all right, then they're all correct. And I don't think it's crazy. I do agree it's all bold. That's all bold.
Tim's in bold. I mean, I love Tim. You love Tim. He's a friend. But to say there's going to be more fireworks, that's not you got to be more specific, as my children would say.
Well, I took it to mean, hey, it's more points than last year. And, maybe that's not bold, but considering it's a brand new quarterback and you're replacing a 3rd round pick, I mean, there's some boldness to it, but I like them all.
Let's talk a little Amazon Fire TV because it's awesome. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? I didn't know that until they started sponsoring us. And now I'm thrilled to death because I got a bunch of children and this can keep them entertained instead of me having to be a father. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console is required, baby. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Host with hardcore gaming experience, people with hardcore gaming experience can share their experience with us, and we'd love to talk about it. I don't have a gaming experience. My children do, but I want you to tell us about it, how much you love it.
Space Invaders and Pong. Like those games.
Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, 1st and 2nd generation, and Fire TV Cube, which, of course, as you know, is the 3rd generation. As our walk-on profiles continue, as Jimmy continues to stalk said walk-ons, we learn more and more about these walk-ons on a daily basis. And today, sadly, it's our last and final walk-on preview.
That's right, because on the next show, we're going to start the roster ranking where we rank the roster from bottom to top. So we discuss every scholarship player the rest of the summer until the first day of fall camp. We'll start that on the next show. But today we'll talk about the final walk-on. He's, in my opinion, the most vital walk-on on the roster. And there's even some talk that he's actually been placed on scholarship. I don't know that that's true. Alabama's never released a statement about that. And when he committed to us from Cal, it was noted on BOL that he was a preferred walk-on. But I'm talking about David Byrd. That's a new name for a lot of you out there. David Byrd is going to be almost certainly the starting long snapper on this team this fall. Again, he is a portal transfer from California, University of California, Cal Berkeley, the Bears. He has been their starting long snapper for 2 years as a freshman and a sophomore, and is perfect on all of his snap attempts, whether you're talking about the field goals, the extra points, the punting. He does it all. He did it extremely well at Cal and was given the opportunity once he entered the portal to be the long snapper to Alabama. Now, he missed the entirety of the spring with an injury. So Jay Williams, another walk-on, was Alabama's long snapper throughout the spring. But David Byrd, once he's healthy, and he's expected to be 100% healthy this fall, will almost certainly assume that role. A couple of interesting things about David Byrd. Number one, he now is replacing Robbie Oost with best mustache on the team. David Byrd's got a classic mustache. Maybe it's not quite what Robbie Oost was, because Oost was just basically known as the stash. The Seahawks made reference to Robbie Oost's mustache when they drafted him. So David Byrd's stepping up. He's got a lot to replace there, but he does have the best mustache. Also went to an interesting high school in Phoenix named after the first, or I should say, a Supreme Court judge, Sandra Day O'Connor. He went to Sandra Day O'Connor High School in Phoenix, Arizona. So David Byrd, walk on. Maybe he's either on scholarship or going to be placed on scholarship. I think the starting long snapper should be on scholarship if it's available. But anyway, we'll see him this fall, and that's why we saved him for last. When you're the starting long snapper, you're a significant player on the team. That's one of those things that everyone in the stands or watching on TV doesn't pay a lot of attention to. But as I say about the long snapper, if you don't think he's valuable, wait till you have a bad snap and you're down 2 points and you need the 3-pointer to take the lead in the fourth quarter and there's a bad snap. You'll know the long snapper's name then, won't you? So you need to know it also when it's going well. And for 2 years, he's been perfect at Cal. I'm optimistic that will continue at Alabama. Mute.
I'm muted. Speaking of long snappers, Nealon Hibbett, it looks like he's going to end up signing with the Dolphins, right?
He has signed with the Dolphins, and news there, by the way, positive news in the Nealon Hibbett camp. He signed with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins released their returning starting. The Dolphins have had the same long snapper for, I believe, 5 years, and the Dolphins have released their veteran long snapper. So Nealon Hibbett will have an opportunity to earn that job and make that team.
Whoa, I love it. Awesome. Happy for him. I just like Nealon Hibbett. By the way, I've told this story before. My daughter was reaching out to players at Alabama via Instagram to do a little story on at her high school in Ohio, a news story, like live feed. And Nealon Hibbett responded and did a great sort of clip for her. And so I'll always appreciate me some Nealon Hibbett.
Great dude. One of the best guys on the team. And listen, Nealon Hibbett was a 4-year starter. David Byrd will only be here 2 years, but it is a critical role. When we were coming up in football, Luke, following football, walk-ons universally owned the long snapper job. There just weren't scholarship long snappers. Now long snappers are recruited. They're recruited, offered scholarships while they're in high school. And as we've seen in the NFL, they are now occasionally drafted. It has happened. And I think it will happen with increasing frequency. And this deserves its own show. But if the House settlement is ever passed and we go to 105 hard rosters where there's just 105 on scholarship period, long snappers will all be recruited scholarship players. And you need to have multiple ones on the team because there's just not there won't be this endless pool of walk-on possibilities anymore. So down the road, you're talking about recruiting all these guys.
Yeah, and eventually we're going to have to start talking about all this House settlement stuff again, but we ain't got enough time today. I got just enough time to tell you about Monarch Money, though. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Yeah, if you got daughters and sons and wives and things, pets, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO. Giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, all of them, and investments and spending, all that in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for half off your first year at monarchmoney. Jimmy,
come.
I'm going to need a little more enthusiasm out of those comms.
I was worried when you put the softball on the tee that I had muted, but that's why I was like, whoa, I might be on mute.
That would be funny if somebody were trying to sign up for Monarch Money. Luke told me it's Monarch Money. Can't get there. Why can't I get there?
I can't get my internet to work.
Yeah. That's my mom did that when we first got her a computer. She didn't want a computer. She wants a jitterbug. She doesn't even we got her an iPhone is the 6 series. And I'm like, Mom, they're about to make it where updates won't let this thing update. I can't even find a charger for it anymore. So she was like, I don't even want one. And I remember when she first got her computer, she said, Luke, you can finally get me some electronic mail. I said, great. I've been wanting to send you an email. You can't send me an email. It's Gmail. I'm Gmail. I said, but Mom, email is Gmail. Luke, it's not. There's clearly a G, no E. And I said, Mom, email is a big thing. Gmail is the kind of email. Well, I'm just telling you, I'm looking at my at gmail.com, not email.com. So you do what you want to, and it's going to go out into space, and then somebody else is going to know what kind of casserole Aunt Lucy's bringing to the Christmas party. And I go, okay, I'm just not going to, I'm going to send you regular handwritten calligraphy letters. That's what I'm doing from now on. So, well, I get frustrated talking about it right now. I mean, it was the most frustrating thing that I think I've ever done with her. And anyway, so miscellaneous things, Jimmy, catching you up a little bit. Alabama and St. John's are going to play at Madison Square Garden on November 8th, the same day as Alabama and LSU in football. But I've already made a proclamation. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going to go to Madison Square Garden.
Really?
I've loved going to the Ainsworth and watching Alabama football games anyway. So my hope is, though, that the two things aren't going on simultaneously. I'm assuming Alabama LSU with Garrett Nussmeier, and assuming Alabama's pretty good, that will be a night game. So I'm hoping the Madison Square Garden game is maybe in the early afternoon or something, and then I can watch that and then scoot over to the Ainsworth. That's what I would hope.
I think Alabama LSU is almost certain to be prime time. And as a matter of fact, I saw footballscoop.com today predicted all of the ESPN Game Day games, like ESPN Game Day games all the way through the end of the year. And their projection was Alabama hosting LSU in November will be an ESPN Game Day game. Other Alabama Game Day games, according to footballscoop.com, and these are predictions. This isn't reporting. These are predictions, but also they had Game Day at Athens for Georgia versus Alabama, and they had Game Day at the SEC Championship game, which they went ahead and projected would be Texas versus Alabama. But the only Game Day host for Tuscaloosa was Alabama LSU on the day that Luke apparently will be at Madison Square Garden. One other projection, this might surprise people listening that don't keep up college basketball every single day. St. John's might be preseason number 1.
Yeah, they might be. Now, I've seen them preseason 2, 3, and 4. I've not seen them 1 yet, but I've seen Purdue 1, who, by the way, Alabama plays. Now,
another crazy schedule. There was thought that Nate Oates would be backing away from that.
Yeah.
Insane number 1 schedule. Doesn't look like it. Looks like it's going to be crazy again. Some of it by accident. I mean, who knows when we started talking to Rick Pitino at St. John's about, hey, we need to schedule a game. We probably didn't know the day that conversation started, probably didn't know that they might be a preseason number 1 type team.
They also picked that it'll be that Texas-Ohio State game for the first game day, which you said, I was kind of hoping they'd throw a bone to Lee Corso, like let him have a home game as a Florida State alum, but at Bama there, but it's not going to happen. Now they do. I'm looking at all the games they pick, and they have listen to these games for game day. These are pretty awesome games. Week 2 is Michigan at Oklahoma. I hadn't seen another game that looks like it even be close. Week 3 is A&M at Notre Dame. That could be fun. Now they do mention it could be Wisconsin at Bama if A&M or Notre Dame has already slipped up, and I could certainly see that too. Then Florida at Miami, and then Bama, as you mentioned, at Georgia. Texas at Florida. Okay, that means already you'd have 2 for Florida and 2 for Texas. That's interesting. Ohio State at Illinois, Texas Tech at Arizona State. I just don't see that happening. I just don't. I don't care. That's not happening.
I think Arizona State, they could easily repeat as Big 12 champs, and I do think that's an ascending program, and I do think Sam Levitt is good, and the wide receiver Tyson's good. But the Big 12 is the most wide-open conference. Literally anyone in that league could win. That makes that league fun to me. It's not going to produce a national champion. But the fun part to me about the Big 12 is literally every team in the conference has a chance to win it, and that's fun. But you're probably going to have a car wreck of 8-4 and 7-5 football teams at the end, including Arizona State.
October 25th, they have, for some reason, Grand Valley State and Ferris State. Please don't do that, ESPN.
Well, Game Day always picks one game a year.
I know, but just give it up. Give it up. Don't do that. Somebody may love it out there. I just feel like why?
They do it because the crowd at those places goes
Fine.
And they worry if they have it at Ohio State every week, Alabama every week, Texas every week, that there's just less excitement because those programs take their presence for granted.
And we do, but you know what? Going and maybe it makes game day have a big crowd. I don't know that it gives anything to the viewership, but okay. Penn State at Ohio State next. That's a no-brainer. LSU at Bama, as you mentioned. Texas at Georgia seems like a no-brainer too. USC at Oregon, I can buy it. Ohio State at Michigan. If it's not that, it's going to be the Iron Bowl. I mean, now that's assuming Auburn is much better, but who knows? And then the SEC title game, as you mentioned, Texas at Bama, which I think ESPN would clearly do since they have the SEC conference.
There's no question. Last year, was it year one of ESPN's contract with the SEC? I don't know, probably so, but there's no doubt a heavy SEC theme to the ESPN game day selections, and it makes all the sense in the world. They have the SEC contract. It's the best conference. It's got the best games. But last year, game day featured a whopping number of SEC football games. I think that's going to continue.
And also yesterday, Jimmy, just to reiterate, people should go back and check it out. I had Randy Leon with the AHSA Radio Network. We talked Cederian Morgan. He's seen Cederian Morgan a lot. There were a couple people in the comments like, don't have any Auburn people on it. Look, Randy is pretty unbiased when it comes to this. And he calls Cederian every week for BRHS. Randy has been doing the color for BRHS 20 some odd years, I'm guessing. I don't know exactly how long, but a long time. He played football at BRHS. He loves the place. And I promise you, he's pulling for Cederian Morgan and wants him to go what's best for him. And we all believe right now that's going to be Bama, and that's where I think he'll announce on July 2nd. And that'll be a monster pickup for the Tide.
Might not be the last time we see your pal on the show, because after we've talked about CD Morgan for a year or two here on the show from Luke's Benjamin Russell, local Benjamin Russell High School. And then as soon as CD Morgan's done with recruiting, then the focus will shift to quarterback Kingston Preyear, who's also going to be a national elite prospect out of Benjamin Russell High School. The young, I think he's class of 28.
He is.
Kingston
came over from Montgomery Catholic with the new coach who also came from there.
He's going to be a thing going forward. Quarterback Kingston Preyear, as of today, would be the number one quarterback in Alabama in the 28 group.
What a name, too. Just awesome.
Sounds like a dude.
He does. Like if your name is Kingston anything, and then you stink at it, I mean, people are going to be like, what's the deal?
Even like the Kingston Wadlow IV would be excellent academically.
As I've said many times, my brother went to school with Fabian Pouquan Earl Harper VI. And I've always said there were 5 other unfortunate bastards that had that same name, and they go, I ain't going down alone. So Fabian Pouquan Earl Harper VI. I don't even know how to even start what country that would originate from.
I can't believe there hasn't been.
It runs the gamut.
There needs to be books written and movies made.
I know. All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.